everyone. Welcome to the podcast, Transformation Healing Podcast. I'm the host, Riya Wang, and also I'm the owner of Zenquency Art of Healing. So on this podcast, I have an exciting and I have amazing guest from guest video and a guest TV show, Manni here with us. Before I will be start the interview of the Manni, share his story, share his challenge, overcome with his challenging. I would like to introduce a little bit more about who I am. So again, I'm Riya Wang. Also, I'm certified Deepa Chopra's the life coach. I also have 20 years experience of transformation healing that I'm teaching different courses of sound healing. You can see the beautiful the bowl behind me. Also, I'm teaching a lot of variety of the meditation courses, meditation class. So in this transformation healing podcast, the things way I host this is invite people from all over the world, who's the healer, who's the coach, who's the amazing people here to share all of the tips that help you to overcome or maybe help you to get something enlightened, what it is that help you to use in your daily life. Thank you. Manni, would you like to introduce yourself better? Maybe
Okay.
better with what I introduced.
All right. My name is Robert Manni, Manni. I am the host of Guys Radio and Guys TV. Guys Radio is a worldwide podcast. It's on over 30 platforms. I also have a radio show on terrestrial radio in Southern California on KCCA. It's on every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 102.3, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. The podcast on my YouTube, which is Robert Manni, Guys TV, posts every Thursday. I'm also the author of the novel, The Guys Guide to Love. I don't know if I can see it here very well, but I have that. Here we go. All right, it's a novel about men and women and relationships and love, sex, power, and money. Anyhow, my purpose is really to help men evolve and help both men and women live their best lives. And when Riya contacted me, I thought about some of the things I might be able to add to the show and to help people out. I've interviewed over 600 thought leaders from the world of wellness, spirituality, metaphysical leaders, New York Times bestselling authors, people in the sports field, in the entertainment field, musicians, etc. And I've learned a lot along the way, along with my listeners. And I've also had my own personal journey where I've learned a lot about how to live my best life. I started out in advertising in New York City and worked there and lived there for many years. And at a certain point, about 7 years ago, I got sick. I had a surprise illness. I had run 3 marathons and I was in great shape. And I had tremendous pain one time after running, and I laid down and I couldn't move. I was writhing around for a couple of hours, and then it went away. And the same thing happened the next day. It was over the 4th of July weekend. And I went to the doctors on Monday, and I found out I had a kidney stone, but I also had a small growth on each kidney. So I had to get that taken care of robotically. So I had a couple of miracles along the way, and it really changed my lifestyle, because being in the advertising business, I worked on a lot of distilled spirits accounts, and I had to go out and entertain all the time, and advertising and living in New York is high stress, high pressure. And eventually things caught up to me, even though I took care of myself, was very healthy. Eventually all the stress, all the anxiety, all the partying caught up with me. So first I had been at the same time I was on a path of business. I was on a path of my own spiritual unfoldment, even though I really didn't know it. I kind of fell into learning about Reiki because I had an injury when I was training for a marathon, and I had a Reiki treatment, and then I decided I want to learn how to do that. So I became a Reiki master teacher over a period of a few years. and that really helped me. And then I started studying hypnosis, and I became credentialized as an advanced clinical master hypnotist. And both of those two things really helped me a lot in terms of how to see life, and it really helped me along on my journey. Getting back to my surprise illness, I had to get 2 operations, and the first one, before they went in, they had said, we want to take care of that kidney stone. And so I had a couple of weeks, and I kept meditating and thinking about shrinking the stone, shrinking the stone, shrinking the stone, using my mind. And I'm going to make a point about this, but anyhow, when they went up to get it and they showed it to me on the screen, and then they put me out, they couldn't find it. It was gone. It had just disappeared. So I knew, I was very blessed. And then I went into my operations a couple of days later, and the first one went okay. And then the second one, I could tell my surgeon was nervous. This was about 5 weeks later, and I was in the waiting room, and there was a delay, and I had to sit there in the gown with the cap on and the little socks and stuff. And I was nervous, and I talked to my surgeon, who's very good, and he was very nervous. And then he left, and I had to sit there for 45 minutes. I had a voice come into my head and said to me, you have a lot of power. You've been doing a lot of good work on yourself. You have to help your doctors. You have to help the surgeons. You have to help them. Release the growth inside you. Release it. So I went into the operating room, and they were just about to put the oxygen on me to put me under. And I put my hand on one of the surgeon's forearms, and I said, I'm going to help you. I'm going to release this. And she looked at me and was like, okay, thanks a lot. So then I went under. And when I came out of it, the first person I saw was my surgeon. He had a huge smile on his face. And I said, what happened? He had not heard this conversation I had before the operation. He said, it was perfect. It just came right out of you. Whatever it was, the growth just plopped right out of you. And I didn't have to have any further treatments. My kidneys are functioning better than they did before the operation. And that was 7 years ago. And I attribute a lot of that to my work on myself and my own spiritual unfoldment. And really the point of the whole thing is that I think what people need to do is they have to, it's like Einstein said, you have to look at things with new ways of thinking to old problems. And so as you age, we need to, I used to go to the gym all the time. I'd grunt it out. I'd worked with a trainer. I always wanted to stay in great shape. Now I don't lift weights anymore. I use my body weight. I do a lot of push-ups. I do physical things because it's a combination of physical and mental things that we have to do. We have to work our mind, our body, and my spirit. But I do a lot of stretching. I do Dan Millman's Peaceful Warrior workout. I've been doing it every morning for about 3 years when I could do it. I had one break because I had a separate operation on something else, a whole other story that we can get into. But I found that the mind can be our best ally and our worst enemy. And we're at a time now, Riya, where the media tells us what you need to think. They don't want the people thinking for themselves. It's like if you could sit at home with a diaper on, they'd be happy and telling you, now you can eat, now you can go to sleep, now you can do this. They really want control over us. And I think it's very important that people start to think for themselves. And so some of the practices that I do in terms of how do I keep myself healthy, how do I keep spiritual unfoldment. I joined a spiritual unfoldment class about 3 years ago. My teacher, her name was Jeanette Meek. She was fantastic. Unfortunately, she passed about a year ago. But she taught me so much, and her teaching is still with me, and I know I'm still connected to her, and I've just kept going and going and going. So I think another thing that's important for people is we have to learn how to use language, how to use words. So, a lot of people do affirmations, I am this, I am that. I think you have to imbue the words you choose with spirituality. For instance, I do tracing. I had Master Shah on, who does Tao calligraphy healing on my show, and I started doing one of the symbols, and I've been tracing it every day for 3 years, and it's worked. It's helped me. And I think what it does is by doing different modalities, it opens you up spiritually to take in new information instead of just parroting affirmations, if you will. I also read the Masters of the Far East by Spare Balding, and it's all about these masters of the Far East centuries ago who learned how to live hundreds of years, who learned how to teleport themselves. And they have a lot of messages in there about how to talk to spirit with specific language to use that opens up those spiritual channels. And it's beyond words, if you will. So I do those all the time. I also meditate every morning. I get up at 6 a.m. and I meditate. And then I get into my practices. I do my tracing. I do my own set of affirmations. I work with some of the teachings of the masters of the Far East. I do some self-hypnosis. I read channel text, all in part and parcel to opening up all of those spiritual channels to help us grow, to help us be able to heal ourselves, to help us be able to be vital as we age. Because we're told you have an expiration date, you're going to live so X amount of years, you're going to get sick. This is going to happen because your parents had cancer, heart disease, or whatever. And you know what? It's not true. We have a lot more power than we've been told. And it's just up to people to wake up and start practicing, doing those practicing, whether it's sound healing, even listening to the music. It's not about eliminating things. Like I like the Rolling Stones, but I listen to now bells. I listen to solfeggio tones, high frequency tones. And what happens is over time, when you start tapping into more of the universal consciousness and spirituality, the other things, your other practices start to fall away. They become of less interest. And that's including the movies you watch, the music you listen to, the books you read, the news you watch, the friends you have, because your frequency begins to slowly rise. And when it does, you are on kind of in a different area than maybe some of your old friends. Now you can still love them from who they are, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to stay where they are. They're on their own path. And if you want to continue unfolding, you have to keep doing practices, keep thinking new things, use your mind as your ally, and raise your consciousness.
That is amazing. And you have that magic, the stories. So thank you for sharing that. So here is the things I wanted to maybe help my audience to ask the simple question. Because in this society now, especially now, is this with information flooded. Everywhere have different affirmation, this healing, that healing, mortality. We say every healing have its own mortality, own healings. It's very benefits for different people. But example, if the person who's just beginning, they are not really open for spiritual thoughts yet, spiritual journey yet. They're still living in this society day by day with a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. Then they want to figure out what is the shortcut. A lot of my clients will be asking me, Riya, what is the shortcut will be get out of my stress, get out of my my anxiety. So what is the simple tips that can easy for starter beginners? It's not for people already going to different journeys, you know, they know how to tap in the channel, how to do affirmation, how to do all different mentality healing. But for people who don't know about this and what is really meaning of transformation healing?
I think that's a great question. And I love that you asked that, because there's one of the things we do on my show is we bring in new information and from an expert point of view, but also we bring in information to introduce new concepts to people. And what I have found, what I have learned from listening to all these different thought leaders and experts is you have to do three things. Number one, you have to look inside. You have to start looking for the answers within and realize that God and the God consciousness is within you. And you have a lot more power than you think you do. You're connected. So instead of just looking outside and reacting to everything, you have to start by going inside. And then when you're on the inside, you have to start asking yourself questions as to, let your gut, if you will, let your intuition start to work and have that conversation with spirit and your guides and your higher self by just simply doing something like, you have to start someplace. So meditate, try not to think, just sit quietly for 5 minutes. See if you can do 5 minutes, and then do it the next day, 5 minutes. So you have to look inside, you have to begin somewhere and take small steps. So if you start meditating 5 minutes. And it could be just being quiet or going for a walk by yourself. No thinking. Just say, thank you, thank you, thank you for 5 minutes, if nothing else. If you have to say something, say thank you. And realize some of the things that you have to be thankful for. There's so much, just the fact that you can go out and take a walk. People get so stressed out because they're reacting to everything. Instead of creating their life moment by moment, they're reacting to the exterior stimuli all the time. And the stimuli that we're getting from our culture and from our media is to scare us, is to keep us on edge, filled with anxiety. And what ultimately happens is that's what causes illness. That fires up the illness in us, because everybody has all these germs and everything. When you get stressed out, things come to the surface. So I think the best step for people to take is, number one, see if you can just stop and not think for 5 minutes, and see if you can do that. Be consistent, do it for a few days in a row. And then while you're doing that, ask yourself, what do I need to know? Spirit, what do I need to know right now? Now, initially, you're going to get some information that comes to you, and you're going to think it's going to sound like you. And people are going to think that they're just parroting back to themselves. But over time, you will find that you start to trust that, and you will be getting real information. And I started with 5 minutes, and then I went to 15 minutes, and then I learned a modality called zero balancing of meditation that I use. And then I started getting up earlier every day. And now 6 o'clock, boom, I'm up, and I go about 40 minutes every single day. And then I do my tracing. Then this is before anybody's up in the household. I do my affirmations that are based on the masters of the teachings of the masters of the Far East, and some other things. And I ask for, I say thank you to all of my guides and angels. Thank you to everybody in my life. I also release energy from other people, send it back to them that I don't want, past relationships, past businesses, whatever. Release it and take my energy back. Release what I don't want and reclaim my energy. I also meditate on replacing all the cells in my body, because as we're just made up of about a bunch of microbes, billions of microbes, and they die all the time. And we replicate our body over a very short period of time. And what happens is you can just let your cells die off, but you want to claim what's called divine infant cells. And that comes also from the masters, teachings of the masters of the Far East, where you can just replace cells with new young cells, and it'll make you feel younger. I can tell you, I've been doing the same workout. I do Dan Millman's Peaceful Warrior workout. He wrote the Road to the Peaceful Warrior, and he's been on my show a few times. And it's a series of stretches and free form, and it takes about 15 minutes or so. I do it every day. I can tell you, I've never been more limber, agile, feeling better about myself. I do push-ups. I do the same amount of push-ups, if not more now than I did 20 years ago. And it's just a matter of start small, look inside, be consistent, and start to trust.
That is beautiful tips. Thank you. So if you are listening here, you can see if you are the beginners. So sometimes if too much information, a lot of channels, sometimes you get confused, right? So here we have started, then Manni give you the simple tips. Just start, find a quiet place, even just 5 minutes, then be with yourself. So then ask your questions, what is you want? And also don't not engage with all your emotions, all your thoughts, because our mind is just so busy, million thoughts constantly every second. So be quiet. And also I want to add one more tips for who are listening here. That's what I do. Before, I wanted to say a few years ago when I was in that really stress situation, I couldn't sit there for meditate for 5 minutes.
I understand.
Sit there, so my body started heat, started want me to leave. But now I can sit there for 3 hours. Then I don't want to move. I can feel all of the blood through my body. So how to transform from there to there, take a practice. We said start small, practice. And one more tip I want to add on is when you start by yourself, you can try put your hands like this on your heart. Feel
Yes.
your heartbeat, then with your breathing. So even just 5 minutes, you can really feel that energy come down. You can really feel connect with true who you are, with your heart. That time after that, then you start the affirmation. That will be raising you more frequency vibration around you, connect with your body, mind, soul. So that's the tips we want to give to you.
You're right, Ria. And you know, you mentioned before people ask for a shortcut, and that's the thing. There are no shortcuts, and that's not a bad thing. Spiritual unfoldment is in a process of unfolding, so it takes time. But the good news is, the more better choices that you make, and another area of choice is your diet, what you drink, what you eat, high vibrational foods, organic foods, supplements, things like that to keep you healthy and have the right mindset also. I'll tell you a quick story with that. I had mentioned that I had another surprise operation. It was a year ago. After dinner, I just got an incredible pain in my abdomen. I had no idea what it was. And I was laying on the floor in my bedroom, and I was very concerned because it wasn't going away. And it was just unbelievably stressful. And my life force started to leave my body at one point. I could feel it. And my intuition said, you better make a decision. Do you want to go or you want to stay? And so I willed myself back in my body, and a voice came into my head, a knowing, and it said, don't drink alcohol. The next thing you know, I get my wife and she drives me to the hospital. We go to the emergency room and they take out my appendix. And I had complications because my appendix got blocked. I wasn't aware of it, and it started to get gangrene and sepsis. And they had to clean me out and give me heavy duty antibiotics, which I had to. You know, Western medicine is good because it saved my life twice. So I have nothing. And another time I had pneumonia and I got some a Z-Pack or something, and it killed the germ. So I'm not in any way against Western medicine, but there's a lot what you can do to help yourself, to put you in a position to be strong enough to be able to withstand some of the surprises you get. So it took a while for me, but I got better. And at that moment, it was not necessarily related, but I said, why did I hear that voice? And why did that voice tell me don't drink alcohol? Because I don't drink a lot of alcohol, but I have consistently since my teens always been, you know, around alcohol in our social situations, in my work. And I never had a problem. I wasn't like somebody who got drunk and nasty or anything like that. But my body said, give it up, enough. And I stopped. And it's been 16 months now. And I'll never go back because I listened to it and I trusted it. And that's because I started slow, as we talked about, baby steps. And then over time, I started to really trust what I was getting more. And then the more I trusted and the more better decisions I made about what I drink, what I eat, what I do, what do I listen to, the more information I'm getting. So it's fantastic. It's like skiing or chess, where the better you get, the more interesting it becomes. And the more it opens up. Spiritual unfoldment is like that. And I'm just a regular guy. I'm on a spiritual quest, but I'm living an ordinary life. I don't claim to be the expert, but I can tell you from my own life experience and from the experts that I've talked to that these things have worked for me. And I can't have anybody convince me that what happened to me didn't happen to me. I know, and I know that I am loved. I know that I am filled with gratitude for every day. And I know I want to serve now. And I never thought that way in the past. I was always a good guy and everything, but now I really am on a mission to really help people.
That's beautiful. The world need your work. That is so that's the reason I host this transformation healing podcast is always give more tips, give the things to share, to engage, to encourage people to do
Yes.
more. It's no matter how much you where you started, but take a baby step. Even you start that way. I always say life is the journey, it's not the destination. We all know when we're born, we will die in this physical body someday. But it's not that boring and die, it's the whole journey. How do you live your life more healthy with your body, with your mind, with your soul? How do you connect with the wholeness? That is really important. Bring more joy, fulfilling in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is also I wanted to ask you another question is I always got the question to ask because
Good.
all of this question is coming from my clients. They ask me,
Good.
so I'm always want to have more different answers
Please.
that will be helpful to other people.
Okay.
My clients will be asking me. He said, "Riya, so you always say transformation healing. I think my life is very good. It's perfect. I don't think I need any healings. So what do you think? Is everybody need a healing or is it just some people need a healing?"
Well, I think if somebody feels good about themselves, I think we could all be better than we are. We can all, and we're all perfect, but we can all learn. So if somebody says, "Hey, I'm good," that's their choice. And I bet you could find out that not everything is good with them if you ask them enough questions. But and maybe they're just being protective of themselves, or they just feel that everything's working for them and they're in a good situation and they're very happy with their lives and their lifestyle and their choices and their partner and whatever. And that's the case. That's a good thing. That's a much better problem to have than somebody who can't stop their mind for 5 minutes. So I think it's you have to go by the individual. If somebody says, "I don't need a healing," because healing sounds like I'm sick and I have to be healed. And really, I think what you're talking about is an unfoldment and just a raising of your vibration and putting yourself in the best position to be have the best direct connection with universal consciousness. So somebody might think, "I've got it," and maybe by the choices they make that they're tricked into thinking they've got it, but they really don't. Or maybe they're doing just great. So to me, that's kind of a tricky one, but it's a nice problem to have if that's somebody's problem is like, "I don't need a healing," because maybe they're saying healing means I'm sick and they don't feel that they're sick. And that's not like everybody's sick, but we can all continue to raise our frequency. And there's lots of methodologies to do that.
That's great answer. Yes,
If it
I
comes
like
from here, if they're coming from here, it's always a good thing. You come from the heart, and like you said, start with this.
Yes, I like what you said. It's really is some people think healing is something they need to fix. But for me, I want to explain to people the healing is not something you need to fix. It's just like you said. It's really is raising your awareness, the consciousness awareness, so that you be more aware what you're doing is that you're doing make you happy, make you feel your body healthy, or that you doing why that doing will be make you stressed. So it's more awareness, everything, what do you eat, then living your life, how do you taking care of your body, how to taking care of your heart, how to taking care of your soul. That's raising more awareness, raising more energy, and raising more frequency around yourself. That is, I call it the healing.
Yes, I agree with you completely. So maybe it's just the word, the semantics of the word that people are getting. "Oh, healing, I'm sick, I have to be healed." But that's not really what you're talking about. That it's not that there's something wrong with them. There's something right with them, and you want to uncover that.
Yes, it's we have so many, so interesting. I think when we was younger, we will think we know everything. Especially when I remember my daughter was a teenager, I was asking her something. She's always, "Mom, you don't know anything. You don't understand what I feel." when we was younger, we always think we know everything, right? Now I think after I doing travel around the world, learning all of the things, even I discover, like I said, I went to Tibet for 3 months, India 3 months, go to all over the world to discover who I am. I still find out I know nothing. I found out that it's just so amazing. I just know little. And also I found out how it's infinity possibility we can recreate. Just like you said, you can recreate your thoughts, you can recreate your mind, you can recreate everything is possible around yourself.
I agree completely.
That is a beautiful, beautiful interview. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. I'm so blessed to have you here to share your inspiration story, your magic stories. I hope everybody here heard this, then you can get some tips that's used in your daily life. Also, if you like to share your story to inspire and help others, please DM me. I would like you join me for my Tuesday Transformation podcast. So thank you very much. And also, please, I will be make some comments below, and also have Robert all of the information you have, how to find you. Maybe you can tell us how to
Okay.
go a place they can find you.
Okay, real quick, my name, Robert Manni, MANNI.com. I have a website. I've got a 300 blog posts, everything about life, love, the pursuit of happiness. You can download 3 free chapters to my novel there. Also my radio show, again, podcast, Guys Guy Radio, right here, Guys Guy Radio. And also on YouTube, you can watch my interviews at Robert Manni /Guys Guy TV.
Now you have all of the information. So if you have questions, please connect to him. So thank you very much. I will close the leave. I would like you to stay maybe a few minutes more after I pass after this.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you, everybody.